record. Oh, Martha. Awesome. Cool. And I'm going to share my screen for the presentation. And then Ryan, would you, if anyone else joins in, hit that button? Yeah.
Sure will. I got
Cool.
you.
Thank you. Okay. Share that. And we're on. Okay, team. So today, what I want to do just the basics of how to plan an efficient fitness schedule. There's so many different things, and I just want to clarify some of the things and then give you the small picture, and then how to build that into what my week should look like, what's my next few months should look like, and then what does my year rotate into, so I really reach the goals that I have. And for everyone, this might look a little bit differently, and this is why I would love for you to have pen and paper or whatever it is that you like to write on. There'll be a little segment where I actually want you to just write down a few things, fitness goals, right? It's not like the dream big that we have done before. But still dream pretty big for whatever you want your physical health to look like. So step one is determining your goals. What are some of the things that you care about? And let's just do it for 2023. What do you want to see for yourself physically? Do that now. Write it down. What are some of your fitness goals? Here are some examples for me. I have not a lot, but I did want to lose some weight this year. I am on the path for that. I wanted to build a little more strength so my muscles can lift a little heavier, and we'll talk about why this is important. And those are really my two big ones, but a lot of times it's maintaining an efficient fitness schedule, right? It's not just, oh, I want to do these physically, but actually getting to the gym. Sometimes it's for runners. I know Pat's wife, Kylie, she runs marathons around the world. So maybe it's a specific marathon you want to do. Maybe it's a half marathon or a 5K that's in your city that you want to sign up for. Maybe it's a mountain that you've been wanting to hike. Maybe it's a bike route that you've been wanting to ride. Whatever it is, take about 2 minutes now to write down what are some of the goals that you really want to see for yourself this year. It can even relate to, I want to have better energy. I don't want to feel so fatigued. Anything. I want to get more flexible. I want to get rid of pain in my body. Awesome goals. Take another minute and I'll stop talking. Okay. Next. Oh, there we go. The next step, now that I know what I want to accomplish, I have to know, where am I starting today? So I'd also like for you to write that down. What is your current routine? Throughout the week, Monday through Sunday, what happens now? And I do want to make this a point, because in a lot of consultations, I hear that, well, I really want to do this, but I can't. And I really want to do this, but I'm actually not doing it. Those are your goals. That's not what's actually happening right now. So not what you wish happened during the week, but what is actually happening. And you can share with me, you can just write it down, keep it to yourself, be honest with you, because this will determine of what then your plan should look like. So it's realistic for you. What's your current week looking like? Take another 30 seconds. Walks definitely count. A 5-10 minute morning stretch straight when you get out of bed. Right, add that in there too. Those little things really make a difference. Okay. And then let's dive in. As I start to build this out, there is 3 major things that you have to have in an efficient routine, and something that will be actually sustainable, not for this next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or the next year, right? But something that will last me a lifetime. When I think about a really efficient fitness routine, I think about it as building a habit. And guys, that's really important to understand the difference. It's not just a routine or a diet, right, that I'm going to do for a certain period of time and then go back to how I was. It's an entire lifestyle change. And I got to structure that in a way that lasts me for a lifetime. This is why. The same way that when you're a kiddo, right, your parents teach you that, baby, you got to brush your teeth, right? Because you're going to need these guys for the rest of your life. I think you would all agree, because you're here, so you know somewhat, that your body, you're also going to need for the rest of your life. And for this, we have to move. We're designed for this. We're designed for movement, and our health, our well-being is dependent on it, really, of how well you move. And even if it's not a major goal of, I want to hike Mount Everest, right? But the simple goal of, I just want to be pain-free, I have to move. So I try to teach myself habits, because motivation runs out. I'm going to be motivated for a little bit to get rid of that extra 5 pounds or to lift a little heavier, right? And that will be fine for a little bit. But then how do I keep that up for the rest of my life? It has to become a habit that I do on the regular. That's part of my routine, because for the rest of my life, I want to keep up my strength and I want to keep up my health. So 3 major things that I have to put in my habit. 1 is strengthening your body. Essential. We'll talk about why. Your second is lengthening, stretching, mobilizing your body. Essential. We'll also talk about why. And then cardiovascular, respiratory training. Doesn't mean running, but conditioning your lungs and your heart. Why that is important. And if I have these 3 within my weekly routine, I'm really well-rounded. There's not a piece that I'm missing. If I have all 3, then I'm really well-rounded and something that my body can actually maintain for the rest of my life. Even when I'm 80 years old, right? I can still have some kind of a routine, and I'm happy, healthy. When I'm retired, I have all the money to play with. I have the body to use it for it, right? Not that I have all this money to sitting in the bank, yet I'm in pain, I'm really tired, my health isn't so good, I can't really travel that much. Limiting. We start now. So, number 1, strength training. Why this is important. This doesn't have to mean that you got to become like a bodybuilder, right? Putting on a ton of muscle. What this means specifically is some kind of exercise that strengthens your muscles. Why? Because the stronger my muscle mass that wraps around my bone structure, the stronger my bones get. My bone density goes up. This is important for multiple reasons. Let's start here. Number 1 is because inside bones is where you make red blood cells. And your red blood cells determine your immune system. When you get sick, is not if, but when you get sick, are you sick for 2 days? Or are you sick for 2 weeks, right? For this, I strength train, because the stronger my muscles are, the better my immune system is. I produce more red blood cells. Hence, I fight diseases off much quicker. I recover, I'm back to. That's 1. 2, you know how elderly people have a huge risk of falling? And a lot of the times, if someone falls, right, if they're elderly and they don't have good muscle mass, their bones are usually hollow like this. Their bone density is also pretty low. If they fall, they break. And elderly generation also, it's if you're older, then you don't have so much blood flow. You don't recover as quick. And a lot of the times it goes wah, 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 kind of downhill from there. Good news is if you train now, that's something that you can avoid 100%. You'll never have to worry about it, because if I have strong muscle mass, it's like a diamond under pressure. My bone density also goes thick, strong, really dense. And so if you and I fall, which again, much less likely because my muscle mass is there to stabilize. But let's say we do fall, it's a bruise, not a break. Does that make sense? So for this, if I strengthen my body, and it can be body weight exercises, it can be lightweight, high repetition, right? Where I'm not bulking, I'm toning the muscles that I already have. For this reason, it's not because of how I look, right? Like, that's nice. I like the way my clothes fit. I like looking a certain way, but that's really the fashion of fitness. And that comes way back there, right? And that's not why I strength train. I strength train because I care about my immune system and I care about my bone density. And then the fashion of fitness is a bonus. So I have to have some kind of a strength training routine in my weeks. Any questions about this? So far, so good? I'll take your silence for a yes. Okay. The second pillar is lengthening my body. I'm not asking you to get into splits unless that is one of your goals. What we want is that this muscle that you build, I want this strong and I want it long. I don't want it short and tight. I don't want my strong muscles to limit my movement, to pull, to cause pain. I want them to be really functional. All I want is for them to wrap around the length of my bone, to support me reaching up, to not limit, to support my hips, my shoulders. And then if you want to take it even further, where you're like, Z, I actually really want to do splits. I've never been able to do it. There is a way to train for that. You can. But what I'm talking about specifically as a weekly routine is some kind of a stretching. And I am thinking about this outside of the stretch that you, I really hope, already do after a workout. Yeah. So a workout to structure, let's say you have a strengthening day, you warm up, you work out, and then you lengthen right away, right after the workout, like a 5-10 minute stretch. That's quick to lengthen that muscle that you tightened so you don't stiffen up. On top of that, I would 100% have 1 or 2 more days where you do like a 15, 20, 30 minute just stretching. It'll make a difference in your posture, in how you move, in your coordination, and also reduces your pain. Your soreness will go much quicker. And so you can get back into the workout also much quicker. You won't feel so fatigued. You have to have some kind of a stretching routine in your week. Any questions about this? I want that balance. I want strong and long, not short and tight. Next.
Hi, Z.
Oh, yes.
Hey, regarding the stretching workouts which you mentioned,
Yeah.
so I see that some stretching workouts can also get into like actual working out where you're like sweating in the middle. So,
Sure.
so when we do the stretching workout, do you mean like a more calmer stretch, or is it also like a workout which has like its own warm up and then stretching core portion and then again kind of cooling down?
Really good question. Yes and a yes is my answer. For some, like for example, I love taking like a power yoga class where it's a workout. I work up a sweat, yet it's all designed around stretching and lengthening and holding poses for a longer time. It works my flexibility and mobility, and it has a little sprinkle of body weight strength in there too, would absolutely count. However, if you're like, that's really not my vibe, there's many different ways of stretching too. So let's say someone went to the gym and they did their strengthening routine where they did few repetitions of XYZ. Then the next day, I would add in maybe a foam rolling routine where you're lengthening those muscles, pressing lactic acid out, and then maybe just like a 5-6 moves that you'll do 2 to 3 rounds of just holding poses and stretching. Both yes and a yes, both count as long as it's the goal of whatever you're doing is lengthening your tissues. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Very good. Third piece of our puzzle is cardiovascular and respiratory training. Guys, right here, your lungs, I love this picture, your lungs, right? The two balloons, and your heart, that's your engine. Really, that's where you make energy. It doesn't come from tea, it doesn't come from coffee, although we love the support from that, right? That's a boost. But essentially energy comes from you. And the way you do it is by breathing. And then that oxygen circulates around your body by oxygen getting into your bloodstream, and then your heart pumping it everywhere in your body, including all the way up to here. When you have some kind of, and we'll talk about many different types of cardio training, hiking a mountain, definitely cardio, riding the bike, definitely cardio, walking, 100% cardio, running, for sure cardio, elliptical, Stairmaster, whatever, as long as you're breathing more rapidly than when you're sitting down and your heart is pumping a little faster than at rest, you're doing it. Something that gets my heart rate up and something where I have to breathe more. This is why. Do you guys notice that when you sit, and a lot of you guys sit for way longer than we ever should, anything over 6 hours, and most of you are like 8, 10, 14, a lot of sitting. What happens is you notice that by the end of the day, your energy is like, wah, 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 right? And then a whole lot more coffee happens. This is why, because the more you sit, your breathing pattern of how much oxygen you're actually pulling into your body is really short and really shallow. And the lower my oxygen levels are in my bloodstream, the higher my cortisol levels go, my stress. And that's why a lot of times when we get another email, my oxygen levels are low, my cortisol levels are high, and my perception of that email is like, ugh! And it's nothing crazy, right? It's an email. All I have to do is put 2 sentences together and send it back. Yeah, my perception of that is that it's another thing I have to do, where usually it probably wouldn't bother you at the top of the day. It doesn't feel so great at the bottom of the day, simply because I don't have enough oxygen up in my brain and it feels like a lot of effort. And this is why when people are like, I feel so much better after I take a walk, or I do a yoga class, or I do some kind of a workout, anything where you're breathing more and your heart rate gets a little more pumping, you feel better for the reason of the higher my oxygen levels go, the lower my cortisol levels are. And my perception of the things I have to get done is not so bad. For this, I have to do some kind of a training for my heart, because I want flexibility in my heart too. I don't want a strong heart that causes heart disease. I want a really flexible heart. I want to be able to get my heart rate up high and sustain it. But also I want to be able to get my heart rate down low and sustain it. Good quality sleep. For this, I have to train this. Yeah, I have to have some kind of a routine in my week where it's focused on my respiratory, my lungs and my heart. Any questions? Okay.
Hi, Z. I actually had
Hi.
one question. So
Yes.
my major goal is to put on muscle, like build
Great.
muscle majorly. I'm
Mhm.
already like on the lean side, so not much of a fat loss. So for someone like me, what kind of cardio is more recommended?
Walking would be wonderful. And for you, something that's really low intensity. Yeah, it doesn't have to be running.
Okay,
And even so, I would do it maybe once or twice a week, but daily walks are awesome. It's not going to cause major fat loss, but for you, it's more of that mental and just balancing out your oxygen levels so you're not so stressed out.
sure,
It,
got it.
it doesn't have to be like walking the stairs for hours. It doesn't have
Right,
to be super high intensity, just something where you're breathing and getting your heart rate up, and it won't cause a major fat loss at all. And then for you, so for someone that's like, I want to put on muscle, your strength, right? Some kind of a workout routine will be the biggest portion of your weeks, and we'll get to this. And then still implementing the stretching for you will be really important. And then some kind of a cardio. So kind of like I play with my puzzle pieces of what should I prioritize and make a little more of? And then what should be my secondary and my third? I still have to have all three, but for then someone with weight loss goals, right, I would do a little bit more cardio. However, you're still really going to need that strength too, because the higher your muscle mass, the lower your body fat percentage will get to. So it's then kind of tweaking the pieces. It's just adjusting them in a way so it works for your goals, but it's still all three pieces got to be in there. And then before we dive into I'm sorry, did that answer?
Yes, that did.
Cool, very good.
Sorry, Jose, I have a question. Yes, so lots of the HIIT training, right? The 1 hour HIIT training,
yes.
They have multiple. I mean, they have some cardio movements. Does it count? I mean, does it count for the
absolutely. Yeah, that would be a really good fusion to put together, because you're getting your strength by it, and it's usually body weight strength. So that would be a really good one for maintenance and weight loss, because you're not putting on muscle mass in a HIIT class. You're strengthening the muscles that you already have. You build their endurance. And with HIIT training, and HIIT is one of the best ones for weight loss, because your heart rate variability goes high and low and high and low and high and low, your body gets really good at burning fat.
All right.
Because it's more sustainable than pulling out of muscles or whatever else, right? HIIT training is awesome. Really, really good for that. And also if you're like, I don't really want to lose weight, I'm happy with what it is, then it really is, weight loss is also calorie intake. So if you're eating a sufficient amount of food, and then you're still training your you're still doing your HIIT training, you also won't experience a whole lot of weight loss. You'll feel toned and lean. You're welcome. And then also, as we go through, is recovery weeks are really important, really, really important. And this gets overlooked so much. So let's say that I design what my week should look like as I start. Yeah. And if you're really just, and you have to look at what is your starting point. If right now you are maybe working out once, possibly really trying to make it twice a week. If I were you, I would do 3 days a week, 1 day strength, 1 day length, 1 day cardio. Yeah. If you're someone that's already hitting the gym 4 or 5 times a week, then I would restructure a little bit to see, all right, what are some of the pieces that I'm missing, and then restructure it a little bit so you still have all three. So maybe it's 3 days at the gym, maybe it's 1 whole day of just stretching. And if you still want to work out, you can take a high intensity workout like a power yoga class where you're lengthening. The goal around that is, but you'll still get a bomb workout. And then 1 day of cardio. Yeah, that would be a good structure. And we can revisit this at another meeting where how do I structure that for me specifically? But the goal is that you get all three. And then let's say that I have my week planned out. For me to really see the change that I'm looking for, I have to do that for about 4 to 6 weeks. 6 weeks is ideal. Studies say that if you can keep up, consistency is key. Your structured routine that you have planned out your week for with the 3 pillars, if you can keep that up for about 6 weeks, you'll see change. It doesn't mean that you have hit your goal. You're not there yet, but you're well on your way. And then before I dive into my next 6 weeks, that possibly there's progression, right? I add a little more. Maybe I keep my same routine. I just switch up my workouts, or maybe it's a little heavier, or maybe I do a little more cardio, whatever that may be. That's the progression for you. Before I hit my second 6 weeks, I'm going to take an entire week off where it's just recovery. It doesn't mean that I'm not doing anything. I'm doing recovery work. I stretch more. I foam roll more. I possibly hit the sauna, maybe a hot tub, where I take a whole week just to work on resetting and recovering my body. And then I'm going to be that much stronger for hitting my next 6 weeks. So a recovery week between the progression programs is essential, because that means you're not burning out. You are not doing too much, and you allow your body, because we're kind of like, tech company, Qualcomm. This is how I kind of imagine it. You know, when you program something and then you hit enter and you literally have to wait for it to buffer and upload. Same thing with us, except we take longer than just a few minutes. Think of your recovery week as you're literally uploading everything that you have already done, allowing your body to really soak it up. I have it, I'm going to take it with me. And then now I'm ready for the next step. This is really essential, because if all I do is work, essentially it plateaus, and then I get injured and then I'm out. And then I get to start from the very beginning, right? And so that's what we want to avoid. For that, recovery week is essential. Okay. And this kind of taps into what I already started talking about. So what I'd like for you to do, and we'll take 2 more minutes. After determining what are your goals, what's your starting point, and then based on everything we just discussed of what are the essential pieces that you need to have in your routine, build out just 1 week. Just 1 week that you think you can actually do. What I find really helpful with, especially when I'm like, oh, I don't know, I wish I could do all these things, but blah, 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 that blah, 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 blah is always there, always there. And you just have to make a conscious choice that I am priority. I have to be, because your work comes from you. Your relationships come from you. The way you deal with your spouses, your kiddos, all of that, it depends on you. And if all I do is give and give and give and give and give and give and give, then my best is probably at 30%. I'm operating from my 30%, not my best by any means. So if I make sure that I get my essential me time, and think about it like this, 1 hour of your day, 1 hour is a little less than 4% of your entire day. Aren't you worth your 4%? And maybe you don't even spend an entire hour on you. 30 minutes, if you're just starting out, is plenty. 3 days a week, 30 minutes. And I find this really helpful. In the beginning, put this in your calendar. Literally block it. Because when you have a plan, I know that on Monday at this time I'm doing this, it's a whole lot more likely that it's actually going to happen than, oh, I should do something sometime. It's highly likely that then this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, and then that something sometime is maybe tomorrow, and then it's the same game. This is not a bulletproof system, because things come up. Kids get sick, another meetings get scheduled, something you have to show up for. However, it's much more likely that it's actually going to happen than the something sometime. Yeah. Set yourself up for success by having a plan for you, like you have a plan for work. You know what project needs to be done at what time. You are your most important project, because if you're at your 100%, then everything else also falls into place. You have better performance at work. You have better interactions. You're kinder to you, to your kiddos, your patience, your energy level is much better. It all works better when you feel your best. Once you have your week that's realistic, your job is to do your best to stay consistent for about 6 weeks. If you can keep that up, 6 weeks is the magic number there, consistency there. It doesn't have to be hard. It has to be consistent. You have changed. And you didn't only change physically, but also you're starting to condition your mental space to where it's becoming a habit, guys. In the beginning, it's rough. We play this tug of war, right? Like kids with brushing teeth, where they're like, oh, can I get away with not? And then we do it. And all of a sudden, by the time I'm 33 years old, I don't think about if I'm going to brush my teeth today or not. Not a question. I just do it. It's a habit. And that's the plan. That's the goal with also exercise. I want to make it a habit because I need the body for the rest of my life. Helpful?
Really helpful.
Cool.
Thank you.
Very good. My pleasure, guys. Any questions? And I know we're 2 minutes over time, so I'll let you go. Any questions about this? And also, if you're working out your plan, and I know this is a lot of information, you're kind of soaking it up. Awesome. I am on Teams. Yeah, just send me. Quickest way to get a hold of me is on Teams. Send me a message on Teams if you want to talk to me about this personally, where I can maybe help you adjust what to why, depending on your goals. Also, if you have not completed your 2023 wellness consultation, then what we can do is send me a message. We'll set up a meeting and then we'll go over all of this for you personally. I'll help you design your plan and then we can follow up and then check in how it's going for you. Cool. And that will count for your wellness incentive to get that $150 for your HSA account. Okay. Yes.
Will you be sharing the recording? I joined late, so I missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I have the recording. I'm going to upload it, or possibly maybe Ryan will upload it. We'll figure it out so we can get it up on the wellness, on the Q Fitness Wellness. Do you know where those recordings are?
No.
Okay. Can you please send me a message on Teams, find me, and I'll send you all of the links where all the recordings go. So you have all of it from classes to presentations like this, etc.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right,
Did
you
you mean
guys.
did you mean the YouTube channel or something
Yes.
else? Okay. Cool.
Yes, the
Yeah.
YouTube channel. All right, team. Thanks so much for your time. I really hope that was helpful. Like I said, I mean it. Reach out, please. I'd love to hear from you. And maybe it's just a thanks that was helpful. My pleasure. Have a wonderful rest of your day. If you're joining yoga, I'll see you in 11 minutes. Have a good weekend. My pleasure. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
You got it.
Have a great day.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks, Z.
Bye.